I'd like to call the meeting to order Monday, January 5th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here at the town hall. Adopt the agenda. I have a motion. Any changes or
Second.
all in favor of adopting the agenda as read?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Anna. There's several minutes we need to approve tonight. First one's approve the minutes of our special meeting on December 11th. Any corrections or additions to those minutes? If none, we have a motion to accept.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
To pass. Approve minutes of special meeting December 15th at 2025. Any additions or corrections? Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor of accepting the minutes of special meeting December 15th, 2025?
Aye.
Any motion passed? Approve the minutes of the capital budget hearing on December 15th, 2025. Any corrections or additions to that? Do I have a motion?
Second.
The only thing I wanted, it's not a correction or an addition, it's just a note for myself and to Morgan. This is where he talks about the Wyndham Foundation and the sprinkler system.
Yeah.
Morgan, can you make a note? It's business we need to follow up on. And also, I know you're busy. Checking out other municipalities that might have, help us with what they do for businesses. Yeah. On rates. Okay. Did I get a motion? I did get a motion, right?
Yeah, and never voted.
Okay. Approve minutes of regular meeting December 15th, 2025. Any additions or corrections? Do I have a motion?
So.
I'll second it. Do I have a motion to, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
No.
Minutes have passed. Review request for bids for town office air sealing insulation in Wyndham Regional. And is somebody online for that?
Yes, we do have them on. Hopefully you can hear us okay. If not, let us know, but I'll pass it over to you to get started and then we can kind of fill in questions if that's okay.
Yeah. Can everyone hear me all right now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. So yeah, I'm here today to answer questions and incorporate feedback that you all have for this request for bids that I put together for the MERP funded thermal envelope improvements to the town office. And I can also just use this as an opportunity to summarize kind of what has led to this point. So just as a reminder, this scope of work is based on an energy audit that we hired Farnham Insulators to conduct on the building in November. And I was there for that site visit, and it turned out to be a very useful and good idea to take the extra step to get that information because it identified numerous air sealing and insulating jobs that were not originally apparent based on the visual kind of analysis that NOVA had done through MERP, and that became the basis for this RFP. I sort of took what I could gather visually from that report that Farnham produced and incorporated it into a scope of work. And Morgan shared a couple comments that you all had on this document, and I'll just start by saying I'm more than happy to incorporate them, and we can kind of come up with a plan for how to post this and take the next step as well. I'm happy to kind of talk through the comments that Morgan shared with me to start, and feel free to interject, or if I'm misunderstanding what a comment was, to just let me know. But yeah, to start, one thing that Morgan relayed to me that someone on the select board had pointed out is that there is a provision under 2.1 that asks contractors to provide a pre-construction blower door test as well as a post-construction blower door test. And there was a comment about this being redundant since we hired Farnham to do one. And I totally agree. I think we can access and just require a post-construction blower door test. To be honest, that's been a standard provision that I've included in a lot of MERP RFPs that I've worked on recently. Just kind of out of an understanding that whatever company you hire to do the work, right, it's useful for them to see all the information from the blower door test as they conduct it themselves, because there are certain things that get lost in there's only so much you can include in a report. But considering that, I was there that day, I think the Farnham audit is very comprehensive. I think we can get rid of that very easily. The other comment related to the inclusion of window replacement in this particular RFP, and in particular, I think it was the windows in the clerk's office that there was a desire to have that be incorporated here. And I'm totally willing to put that in here. I did have a couple reasons for not doing that, and I'm happy to share those. And if you think they're good reasons or bad reasons, we can kind of just go from there. My thought behind not putting window replacement in this scope of work was that most of the companies that we would send this RFP to are primarily insulation and air sealing companies, and window replacement would probably fall outside of their scope of work. Farnham's actually a good example. Mike and myself, we met with them to kind of just talk about MERP generally today, and windows came up as something that they're seeing in the RFPs that we're putting out, and that's something that they don't do. So it's something that kind of makes them a little bit hesitant to bid. So that's one thought there. The other thought being that that would likely be a small dollar amount project, replacing 3 windows, and it may or may not be necessary as a result to do a full RFP for that window work. I'm happy to go that route. Again, I'm following your lead here. But that was sort of my thought process there, is we could go and just call window and door companies, get a few to come out, and do a more direct procurement process for that aspect of the scope. But those are my thoughts, Morgan. I don't know if I'm missing anything that you can think of, or if there are folks in the room who have kind of other things that have come up, or thoughts based on what I've described so far.
The only one question that I had was for those windows, we would still be able to use MERP funding for that, is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
And a regular contractor could do those 3 windows, correct?
Yeah, that's the thought.
Yeah, I think you're better off getting somebody that knows how to install windows, other than I've been around those insulating companies, and they're more catered to, like you said, sealing up and insulating and stuff like that. So, and not really putting in windows.
I didn't know that.
That doesn't need to be an RFP. We could just do that as several estimates and then select one.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, Buzz. Good point.
But if you could just speak up a little bit, I'll summarize
Yeah.
that. If
Yeah,
your
sorry about
question-
that. So as a follow-up, if we had several estimates, we would be able to select one and get the funding without doing a separate RFP?
Yeah, that is correct, as long as it falls within our procurement policy. I believe it's anything under $20,000 for a project.
Okay.
We'll have to just double check, that's just a number off the top of my head, but
Where's the 5,000 come in?
Yeah, I thought 5,000.
there's a 5,000 and a 20,000, and I
Yeah.
cannot remember which one
Okay.
is which, but I can look at that.
So I'm hearing, oh, sorry, I'm interrupting Anna.
Hi, I just have a quick question. The fire escape project, which has been on hold for some time here, how does that impact this work can be done regardless of that work? I'm just looking at the deadline of September. I don't know how quickly we're going to be moving ahead on the fire escape, thinking of the back door and things like that. And just want to see what your point of view is on that, if that will impact it in some way.
Sure.
The fire escape's not gonna impact that at all, and
Nothing.
the way it's
Okay.
been moving, the fire escape is not gonna get done for quite a while.
I didn't really understand what you said, but I understand the gist of it, that it shouldn't impact it at all. I just didn't
No.
know about that back door and things like that. Just wanted to bring it up.
Through the windows, I mean, they'd be qualified to do
Yeah, they can still do the windows.
Oh, yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there would be any overlap or any delays because of that project.
Great, thank you.
Right. Well, as long as all the bids are in before March, that March date, correct?
Yes.
On the money, yeah.
Yeah, so that March 31st date, it's a bit of a softer deadline than it kind of reads in the grant language itself. We've been in pretty consistent communication with BGS about that deadline. That is sort of when AOA is going to be doing their kind of more fine-tooth review of awardee towns, and they just want to see that projects have progressed by that point. We aim to have vendors under contract by that point, certainly, but it's not as hard of a deadline as it originally seemed. I think BGS has gotten more lenient in recognizing that these projects take a lot of time and a lot of capacity for small towns to implement. So that's definitely what we're shooting for, to have vendors under contract. But I don't have any concern whatsoever about that deadline being something they'll kind of use to withhold funding. And yeah, to that end, I was chatting with Morgan about kind of timeline for posting this RFP. I want to get it out this week, and we could have a due date of basically end of January or maybe first week of February, and time it so that it gives the select board and myself time to review proposals and conduct an analysis. I don't know when in February the select board meets. Is it first and third Mondays of the month? Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
I have a question. You've got some information here on your, project about the ADA requirements. Does that also come under the March 31st date?
Yeah, it does. And my understanding of how we're going to be approaching ADA and correct me if I'm off base here, but considering that the building has a lot of compliant work already done, we would do something fairly minor. We had Peter Jonke of Vermont Center for Independent Living come and do an ADA walkthrough, and he identified a couple small items. For example, just putting a proper ADA signage out front for the parking lot. That is something that could check the ADA box for MERP, and it wouldn't like you could do just that and have that be the project. That being said, you know, if there's more that we can do ADA wise, the better, of course. But considering that, you know, it's a relatively small grant and that it has more of the energy efficiency focus, I've been kind of functioning under the assumption that we'll do something small like that. There were a couple other uh, almost like room rearrangement things that could be done to increase the compliance of the building. So I think we start there, and if we get down the list of the thermal envelope, the window improvements, the boiler upgrade, and we have some more money to play around with, then we can maybe think about something that's a little bit higher impact. You know, again though, that's sort of an assumption I'm making. Correct me if that's off base from what you guys would like to do as far as ADA goes.
No, I'm fine with that. I'm just, I know the ADA compliance can get overwhelming.
Sure.
So that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, there is a recommendation to take down a wall somewhere to make I think it was the first floor bathroom to make it compliant.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a can of worms we need to open for this project, you know, but it at the very least will serve as a basis for the town to have a transition plan, which is something we hope to be an outcome of this process.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or concerns? Morgan, you all set?
We should just talk about when proposals should be due.
Okay.
I think if it makes sense for them to be due end of January, that way the board could review them in preparation for the first meeting of February. But I would take your advice on that. I don't know if that's enough time for it to be posted or not.
I would try to get those posts out sooner than later.
Yeah, I can have it up as early as tomorrow, and that would give at least three. Would that give 3 full weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could have proposals be due the 30th, Friday the 30th at end of day. Is that too small of a window to expect, you know, the select board to have reviewed for Monday?
I would just request that my office is closed on Friday, so if we do get them,
Thursday.
Thursday would be best. That way we can give them a few extra days to review them.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Okay, other than that, I think I'm okay with everything.
Everybody okay? Yeah, thank you so much for joining our meeting and with your descriptions and explanations.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay. Travis, highway report. You're here. It's snowing out.
All was going well. You know, we successfully conquered our first ice storm
Okay.
this week. Seems like a lot of
You
weather.
might have to speak up for him.
Yep.
To pick you up.
This week we have quite a bit of weather. Today, tomorrow. Thursday looks like a good day to continue some grant work on Hall Ranch Road. And other than that, trucks are running well. But you stayed on the road.
Is Lane's truck still leaking?
That would be something we should jump
Is
about.
it getting worse?
It's getting worse. We didn't know if maybe a seal can buy us some time versus doing the whole. You know, shadow.
The replacement of his truck, I think probably the truck is got our name on it down there.
Okay.
But the body, as I understand, is out 2 years. And I don't know, I think we're gonna get on them about that, because we gotta have the body, or the truck is gonna play.
Oh, he's, unfortunately, won't fulfill it every step. And it sounds like the driver's side is worse than the passenger. So, yeah,
Do you need to fix both of them, or just one different?
what I would recommend is just putting one seal in on the driver's side and just try and get us through.
And is that something Lane can do, or is it?
I asked them, they didn't feel quite comfortable because of the four-wheel drive element wasn't something he's
Yeah.
gone into before, so.
Yeah, fine.
It would be ATG or cabin.
Do we have a cost estimate?
Well,
Do we have?
we got an estimate, but that was on the whole thing.
The direct fix was around 13,000
Yeah.
for both sides, to be the appropriate fix. We were hoping for maybe a temporary, just a seal. Granted, we know that it's not gonna be a lifetime there, but maybe get us.
Or it's gonna get us through 2 years?
I don't know, if you send it down there, how long we're gonna keep it on there.
Well, that's the thing, we need the truck too. Yeah,
Well, what do you think you lose when you're running in a storm?
it's very minimal. He has a little kind of like pouch of
Yeah.
gear oil that he just tops off, but he has to keep it on, and it
Yeah.
might really do some damage.
As long as you keep an eye on it, but
Yeah. But it is something that may arise later that we may have to do something for that once tonight. It was through.
Are we looking at, if we don't do a major repair, a loaner truck? Loaner, like, loan,
I don't know if they have a
I
loaner.
don't know, I'm just
I don't-
I
asking.
think it would be difficult with the plows and the sander
Oh,
to find a loaner.
Yeah.
It would kind of be plan a day and make sure we have an appointment and that it gets done on that day, parts are there, we get the truck back.
Your other truck, the 1 ton, that's been put off for delivery.
April, right?
Delivery of mid-May.
But that doesn't seem to be probably a problem.
That, you know, the truck that we have now doesn't have anything major. There are some small things that we could address, but with it being traded, we've ignored, but
Yeah,
knock on wood, as long as nothing major goes in this
Right.
between now and then, I don't think.
So
it'll be an
it's
issue.
important for all the vehicles you do have, equipment to keep them maintained
Yeah,
as best we can.
okay.
see, bid said January delivery,
No, I saw
Right.
that, yeah.
you can't do much about it, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. So no other concerns on the roads right now, at this point, just maintaining, and how about your sand and salt?
The ice storm, we really dug into the sand pile, so hopefully we don't get a lot, but. You know, generally speaking, we don't. But no, we're looking good in both departments so far.
Good, thank you. Anybody have any other questions for Travis? Keep
Oh, I
up
think
the-
you're doing a good job.
Yeah, good job. Let the guys know there. We appreciate you guys doing what you do.
That's They're good.
Thank you. Clerk and treasurer, is Kim on?
No report there.
Okay. Committee reports, anything from cemetery?
And I got a couple of things.
Okay.
Buzz and myself ought to get together and come up with what we think ought to be done at the Holtonville Cemetery and the Stiles, the blue land that we have purchased on 35,
Okay,
and come back and report it to the board. Because we just can't let it sit there, we gotta do something with it.
and the new cemetery. You mentioned, was it on Styles about removing some small trees?
That's another thing, so now that, I was just thinking about that. I don't think you can put it in your bid of. For the
Mhm.
people that are bidding on the cemeteries, it should be separate, but it's getting so it's hard to get in that road from Wyndham. It's grown up. And I don't know if that's a plat 4 road or what it is, but I think we ought to ask Wyndham. Or Meadows Inn, whoever owns that road, if we could cut some brush. And then include that in with your around the cemetery, and maybe the town crew could do that.
Mhm.
We wouldn't have to let the health anything.
That's Grafton though, we're talking. Is that
Well,
Grafton or Wyndham?
cemetery is Grafton, but the road is in Wyndham.
Yeah, okay.
And as I say, I don't know what class, if it is any class.
You used to be able to get down there in a wheeler, but then Irene did some damage, and I think the last time I was there, I had to walk, I could drive down so far, then I had to walk the rest of the way.
Yeah, you can drive down now, but everybody's going in with 4-wheelers because of the brush.
Right.
There's 2 more camps down there.
Oh,
So they do go in there, but it's going right up.
are the camps in Wyndham?
No, one's, Ladue, that's in Grafton.
Oh, okay.
It's down past the cemetery a little bit.
Yeah, so we can maybe meet next week, John, coordinate. If that
What do you
works.
think?
You said meet next week,
Okay,
this bus.
okay, just tell me when, but,
Okay, well, I'll send you an email.
okay.
Parks Committee?
Would you like to review the invitation to bid?
Oh, yes, sorry about that.
I have not changed any of the wording on these from last year. So the way it's written now, under the scope of work is what was sent out last time. Open to any suggestions or changes.
You're still on cemetery, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
um. When you meet with Buzz, one of the things, a concern is fixing that fence in the village cemetery.
Yes, continue on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that would be one of the things on the land that we have on 35. You know, we started a road in there, and
Yep,
the town could maybe finish that and do some work over there, and see, give them some direction of what to do. You know, in your spare time, that's. But
mm. Yeah, the only thing on the cemetery, on the bids, it's just making sure after they do a mowing or maintenance, that making sure everything is done, that it looks neat and clean and, like with the spring cleanup, they really have to remove everything, and hopefully when they did the fall cleanup, they removed debris and not leave it over for it to be picked up in the spring. It's just little things that, they have to be particular about.
should you mention in there also that the cemeteries should be cleaned by Memorial Day?
It is mentioned,
Is it in there?
yeah.
In there.
Yeah, preparation for Memorial Day. And I know with the spring, you never know, you got more snow, we've had snow in June, so it's a weather thing too. And. Steve, do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't,
Buzz or Anna, do you have anything else to add on the bid? Invitation to bid?
Yeah, we need a cemetery agent.
Just cemeteries, no, but I have comments on parks.
Okay. On the bid or the park committee in general?
No, just on the bids, the
Okay.
clarity. So I think we all realize that the concern about the trimming, especially at the village park, it says on the bid, trimming around plants and bushes. I think it probably should say, and any buildings or up to the stone wall, stone walls, because that's where it hasn't been cleaned up. The center, especially at the village park, the center monument area is not trimmed around that. And then also just to the south stone wall should be trimmed, and along the walkways. I just, to be clearer, I don't, I think that generally the like Winnie Park is tidy and looks great, but I think probably for clarity, it should say trimming around plants, bushes, structures, includes structures and up to the stone wall borders or any borders would be clarity, would add clarity.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, those are all good points.
I don't know if you also approved the fire pond. You want to put that out to bid or just hire somebody to do it?
We had talked about that a
Yeah.
little bit, we didn't know the frequency of how much that needed to be mowed, if it was just once a year, we could do it as a separate project. Versus these are kind of monthly,
They're only done once a year, this fire pond.
right? Yeah,
That reminds me also, speaking of the fire pond, the Parks Committee had hoped that we would and this could easily be done by the highway department, I suspect, along their driveway up there that gets long in the spring, if that could be trimmed back. Maybe that is just the highway department goes through along with its grass trimming, as opposed to making it part of this particular contract. I don't know what you all think about that.
Can the highway crew get up there?
like using the roadside mower for along the driveway up there, is that what you're talking about?
Driveway in the parking area. They wouldn't have to go off the driveway, I wouldn't think. I can be correct. I mean, I certainly am not going to argue. I mean, I think they can do it, but I would, first of all, at the beginning, when spring comes around, Dave and I were going to do it. Now, Travis and I can do it, walk and sort of do the initial trimming of the larger, growth along the stone wall, and maybe also walk up to the driveway and decide, I mean, maybe we should do that but sooner than later to see if that's something the highway department can do. Am I being clear or not really?
No, you are.
Okay.
It was interesting that Dave showed me the winter maintenance that they have in their manual, which includes the fire pond. And that's something that I think the board, along with the highway department, need to be more familiar with. Because there were
Yep.
specific things to be done at the fire pond.
Okay. Agreed.
And basically, it's more for prevention of keeping the pond viable. So there's no damage done, especially for the inlets, the inlet there. So there's a lot there that we need to look into and discuss.
Yeah.
Something to think about right now.
Yeah, if there's a time when the snow's not very deep, or if we get some rain this weekend and can walk up there before it gets dumped on again, possibility.
It's possible, I don't know I haven't been up there, so I don't know what it looks like, or
Yeah.
there's ice too that needs to melt before you go up there. I would
Yeah.
think,
Spring.
probably springtime.
Yeah, we'll stick to the springtime, but in terms of the bid for the parks, including that language about structures and borders, whether they're
Right.
stone walls or whatever.
No, all good points, Anna.
I'm happy to add those, that's not a problem.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the bids?
No, would you call Wyndham and ask them what that road is? It's off the Abbott Road.
Oh, sure,
If it's a town road.
you're gonna have to show me where that cemetery is, I had.
Yeah, I can show you on the.
The only other thing I can make these amendments to both of these and then have them ready for the next meeting for one final review before we advertise them. Is that okay, or do you wanna advertise?
When are we gonna advertise? Soon?
I had bid proposals due the first meeting of March. With work to be starting before April 1st. So proposals need to be in early March, and then the select board will review them at the second meeting in March.
What do you feel about that?
I don't think we have to. She can write it up, like we said.
Okay,
And then we can just send it
yeah,
out now.
just write it out.
Okay.
send it out. Not wait.
Okay. Okay.
Highway committee? Oh, I'm sorry, Anna, anything on parks?
No, I have nothing else.
Okay. Highway committee,
I think we discussed everything on it.
personnel. We need to look at amending the language on carryover on vacation time.
Yeah.
Any updates on July 23rd flood update?
Working with the town attorney and the engineering firm to write the wetland agreement for the retaining wall project. The only other update is that I am meeting with our professional auditors next Thursday to go through our single audit for the flood. So hoping that gets wrapped up here within the next couple of weeks. So it can be done.
Okay. Any questions from Robin? Sampson and Weston agreement, water. Wastewater. I believe it was signed on in December. Are there any questions or concerns that the board has? We know that they can only use the money up until, is it the end of August,
September.
September?
I'll give a little bit of background. The select board. After the planning commission reviewed the proposals, the select board went with their recommendation of hiring Sampson and Weston to test wells within the village, and they had in their proposal to test 10 wells. Incrementally. From now until when the grant ends. There was a provision about doing long-term testing over 10 years, but the grant will not allow us to prepay for those services or have those services done and then pay later. I don't know if Kathy, you wanna add any more to that summary, but.
So it's agreement with them only for the length of the. Of
Grant money.
contract, yeah, which is what?
Until September 31st.
What happened, Morgan, because that doesn't seem to be what the document says. It says 5 additional or a final 10.
That's the one without the amendment,
Over
right?
10 years.
That's the agreement that they had
Yeah.
sent us, the latest.
So is this am I looking at the wrong agreement, or is this one obviated by the grant? or-
That is the same one.
But they're fully aware that they cannot use any other testing or monies beyond the end of the grant. And they're aware of that.
I'm wondering if that agreement should be amended, because I think right on the front page, it does still talk about the 10-year plan.
Yeah.
I would be hesitant to sign only because of that. because we know that that cannot.
But I thought we were kind of aware of this when Matt was talking about it, but
Yeah,
we were maybe hopeful.
No, I think Matt said that it would happen. And
I
he
don't
was
know,
pretty clear that they had negotiated this with this firm to do 10 years. Which was amazing that anybody agreed to that.
that's,
They
I
have
don't know.
negotiated with the contract, with the contractor for the testing, but then after going back with the state of Vermont where the funding is from, they wouldn't sign off on allowing that to happen, like prepaying for the services. We wouldn't be able to use that ARPA funding to do the 10-year plan.
we're being trying to keep that.
So after a year, or after when that grant is up, you'd have to apply for another grant to continue.
To continue any further, yeah.
So
But there's no more ARPA money. This is the end of the ARPA money.
well,
Uh,
This is hugely
there
disappointing.
would be other grants, hopefully. What they're
Yeah.
hoping to do with the testing will start sometime this month
it ends in
and
December.
ends September, that they find something. No
Yeah.
matter if,
It
Yeah.
was a clarification back from the state of Vermont that the money could not be used, past the grant date. So we did discuss that, reviewing future options with other grants in the future, but we would still get a baseline of testing this year.
I didn't understand what, the more we could just speak to the button.
He was just saying that there was clarification from the state of Vermont and that they would go through with the testing until September, and then that would give a good baseline, and anything after that, we'd have to look for further grants.
That's what I thought.
Right.
And so this agreement is, I think, not the one the select board wants to sign, because this says the
10
engineer. This is definitely 5 additional water supply samples will be collected. A final 10 wells will be selected for annual sampling, which will occur for a total of 10 years. And so I think what we're saying is that is not correct. Is that right, Morgan?
Yeah, that is.
so what we could do is do an amendment. And I have in my head that if they're gonna use this year, could they do more wells? Do you remember Matt saying anything about that?
I don't, but I can get back in touch with Weston and Sampson, they're the ones that created the,
Yeah.
and see if they can amend it.
Okay.
Happy to talk with Matt too, if there was, he may have communicated directly. with
Yeah.
them that I didn't.
Yeah.
So what is the total dollar amount? Because I think when they quoted this
It's divided-
$184,000.
It's divided by 10 years.
It included sampling for 10 years.
Mhm.
And I thought the original amount was $250,000. So what's going on here, please, with the money? How much is this bid gonna be for, if it's just for 1 year and 5 additional wells?
It can't be for all the grant.
I don't know
Or
the,
did they get a bid from these people?
yeah,
What was it?
This is it.
I think it was like 250,
This is-
260,000 for spread out.
$124,000.
180.
It's for 1 year or 10 years?
No, if the bid is for 10 years,
Yeah, that's what that says.
that's what this
If
says.
they can't do
So
it,
they
But they
can't do
can't
it.
do it.
so they're gonna drop it on the bid.
So I think we're gonna have to get another bid.
That's gonna be drawn up again or something.
I think so.
That's
I don't think there's any amending this particular bid. I mean, does Weston and Sampson even know now that they are not gonna be able to do this for 10 years?
Yeah, they know that.
They know that?
They know that. They've had discussions with Matt, there were several discussions.
So they know the state can't sign it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well then I
So they can't start it?
They can start it.
How can they start it?
They can start it
You
with,
can't. You haven't got a contract.
well, they need to
That's what
amend.
this was intended for, but I think we need to go back and have a conversation with them and figure out what their For some reason, I'm remembering that their bid included just the 1 year, and then the 10 years was broken out separately as a different price. Buzz, do you remember anything about that, what their proposal looked like? In terms of financing?
It's on mute.
He may have stepped away.
You mean in a separate document, Morgan, in their, one of their proposals to the
Yeah.
planning commission, they might have broken out that cost.
I think that's what it was.
I see.
I'm gonna have to go back and find what their original proposal was that the board approved.
Thought that's what you have there.
This is just an agreement saying that they can go ahead and begin their work. But remember when they had a huge, like there's a huge proposal that included
Yeah, I saw that.
timeline and financing and all of that?
Mhm.
That's not included in this. This is just an agreement to continue with their scope of services.
So is that any good?
No,
No.
no,
Because
no, because it includes the 10 years, which we're not able to do.
I thought they took that out.
I know I had mentioned it to him, but this was the latest document that I had received and it's still there.
Took it out, the price should be a lot different.
Yeah, I know that's the whole point of going with their company, so.
That was the whole point of going with this company.
Right, and they were very
And one of the
clear.
questions is, why is it coming to light so late that the Vermont grant would not cover the 10 years? Because that was a question from the very beginning, could we get multi-year funding?
That's their MO, Suzanne.
Uh,
That's their MO. There were a lot of delays with phone calls and going back and forth till we heard from them.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
look, I'm sorry, Kathy, I am just so disappointed about this, you know. When Matt said that we were gonna have this contract for 10 years. And we were gonna be able to get really good data about the water quality in Grafton. For the baseline and then for 10 years. This was like a win. At the conclusion of a very disappointing saga of losing $4 million to do the initials.
No, I agree wholeheartedly what you're saying. I had no argument with you there. I'm just as frustrated as you with the state.
And in my frustration, I am not frustrated with the planning commission. I mean, I think the planning commission has been valiant in this whole thing. They have stuck to it, they have tried multiple solutions to use this money to the best advantage of Grafton. You know, there's an argument they could have been given up a long time ago and they didn't. So I have nothing but praise for the planning commission, but the outcome is what is disappointing. I don't know. It's gonna be great to have a baseline, but then if you don't have any funding to keep track of it, it's not as good, let me put it that way. This is a sad ending to a long story.
Is there a need to re-clarify, Morgan? I mean, is this absolutely the end of the line, or can we get back to them and just make doubly sure that this has changed so significantly?
Yeah, it has changed significantly and I think it throws a giant wrench in the whole project. I need to go back and look at what their original proposal was. I know that I'm pretty confident that pricing was separated with the hope that the 10-year plan would work out. But I think there had always been some hesitancy because we needed to confirm the funding through the state of Vermont. I don't think it's a lost cause. I think we can still kind of work forward. I think it's also important, Matt has been in communication with this firm quite a bit, and I haven't been in those meetings, so I think we gotta circle back and kind of figure out where we stand.
I agree.
I would have you check with Sampson and Watson with a call. And then check with Matt. I was under the impression that it was all set for them to start and that they had, the understanding that the money could not be used for the 10 years. They only could use for the 1 year. So maybe
Yeah, I think.
there's something there that in your logs of communication or what was sent back and forth, maybe you have, there is a contract there, I don't know. I assumed it was all set.
I know that the select board hasn't signed any type of contract with Sampson and Weston, they were only approving a proposal that was submitted.
Yeah,
Um,
proposal versus contract.
but let me work on it this week, I think they've all been very responsive, I think we can get a response relatively quickly.
Okay,
Well, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed then.
yeah, I don't wanna lose hope
That
on
this
this.
is not the final chapter.
Any other discussion on this? If not, pre-town meeting date is Tuesday, February 24th, 6 p.m. at the Grafton Elementary School.
The select board has to just officially set that date, that's a date that I would recommend. I've checked with the school, the space is available, I also checked with the school board. They're fine with that date.
Okay,
So if it's okay with everyone, it also works out with, the statute, we had to have it in a certain time frame. So I would just prefer a motion to hold the pre-town meeting on that date at 6 p.m. at the elementary school.
okay,
So,
I'll second that. All in favor of pre-town meeting date of Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the Grafton Elementary School. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion pass. Any other business?
I just have one
Yeah.
piece of other business,
Mhm.
some of you may know, but the Wyndham Foundation is applying for a recreational trails grant for various projects at the Grafton Trails and Outdoor Center. Those projects include, just general safety, resilience, and accessibility up in the trails. They have asked us, the select board, for a letter of support in applying for this application. They've passed a pre-application phase, and so full applications are now due February 1st. In the past, we have written letters of support for various nonprofits like that. I'm happy to help with that and send it on behalf of the select board, but I didn't wanna do that without mentioning it first.
That's fine. I mean, I remember we all did comments for the, support. And you put that all together for them in a letter.
Okay. Would it be okay to get a motion just to authorize me to write that letter for them?
Yeah, so moved for a letter of support.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of writing a letter in support of, the Wyndham Foundation on the recreational, endeavors?
aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you. Thank you, Martin.
Yeah.
Public comment. Well, I wish everybody a happy new year, safe, healthy,
Mhm.
peaceful. Next regular meeting is Monday, January 20th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. So Travis, be safe out there.
Aye.
Thank you.